and welcome to the next edition of McKinney Minute. I'm Lisa Hermes. I'm here with Shelby Hamilton to go over some of the stories, some of the headlines coming up in the next edition of Community Impact. All right, so let's get to the top story, your lead story for the March edition, which is the new $53 million fire headquarters aimed to support all the growth that's happening in McKinney. So tell us a little bit about that, Shelby.
Yeah, it's a new campus that the city has built for the fire department. So it is quite a large campus, $53 million project. It includes 3 buildings. So they are establishing their own fire headquarters, which they've moved in. It's housing over 40 employees now that are now operating there. They have a fire logistics building, think a lot of equipment type uses and storage. And then they also have a new fire station 2. So Fire Station 2 historically was on that 380 corner right across from Collin College, and it is moving just around the corner to their new location off of Taylor Burke. Quite a good sized jump for the actual space within the fire department, within the fire station. They were having some capacity issues at that old station. It was one of their oldest stations, and that's what this new one is accommodating. But physically, it's not moving so far that they have to reestablish any fire service districts, so no changes there. But yeah, they are in those new headquarter facilities and operating out of there now, and they're planning a grand opening later this year.
Oh, that will be fun and exciting with the grand opening, I'm sure, open to the public so we can see their facility. That'll be fun. All right, so this is one that's going to be exciting, I think, for a lot of people who love to go to downtown McKinney to shop, to eat, those who work downtown. A new parking garage is in the works, so tell us where we are in the process.
Yes, so this goes back a couple of years at this point to this downtown redevelopment initiative, and it's those couple of properties on the corner where the old city hall is, as well as the development services building and 2 adjacent parking lots. And there's been a number of efforts for redevelopment there, and as part of those efforts, they identified a need for an additional parking garage. So they actually shifted a little bit to the west off of the square to where the current Central Park is. It's half Central Park, half a small parking lot right next to Harvest at the Masonic. And they are targeting that location for a future parking garage. So that garage, based off of the initial approvals for the engineering firm Fishbeck that's going to be drawing up some schematics for this project, could be up to 6 stories tall, could have between 330 and 630 spots. So quite an addition in total parking spaces. And then they're going to bring back about 3 options with some associated prices to City Council before they move forward with that project. But if they did decide to build a parking lot there, they would take Central Park, relocate it right across Kentucky. So there would still be a Central Park just other side of the road.
Yeah, so that's kind of a wide range of potential new parking spots, 300 to 600-ish. Is there a reason for, what's the variance? Why the variance?
Just depending on how many stories they end up building. So if they go up to that sixth floor, they're going to be able to fit in more capacity there. But they're really looking to create a parking solution on that side of the square for all of these new businesses, and then whatever those other sites that are being redeveloped end up needing in terms of parking. The City Hall, the old City Hall building, is slated for demolition this year, and are working with the MEDC on some potential office uses there to be announced. So whatever uses get put in there are going to need some additional parking.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we'll be keeping our eye on that as well. Speaking of adding more capacity to people in McKinney this time, there was a 327-unit apartment community slated for 2027 that's now opening in Craig Ranch. So tell us about that.
It's an interesting project. It's not Palladium's first project in McKinney. There's already a Palladium project over off of 75, but it will be their next project in McKinney. And they've got a 327-unit multifamily development slated. Interesting project just because, Craig Ranch has already seen a lot of development. There's not a ton left there. And this is just under a 5-acre parcel, pretty close to kind of the center of Craig Ranch. Like, I believe the term they use is Craig Ranch Town Center, that they're going to be adding in this development to. And that's slated to start leasing and open to the first residents in 2027.
Awesome. Well, I know we have a worker shortage in this area, well, across North Texas, actually. So this could be some good news for some of the restaurants and other companies around here. All right, so education. Let's switch gears a little bit. MISD did extend the superintendent's contract for another 3 years. Tell us about that story.
Yeah, so Superintendent Sean Pratt has been there for a couple of years at this point now. Has been with McKinney ISD for a very long time. His previous contract held him through 2028. That was approved last year. And then up in a recent meeting, they approved it through 2029. So they're just extending that out even further. A lot of these negotiations are done behind doors or behind closed doors. But the board was complimentary of him in this approval to extend his contract. The extension did not include a salary increase. His salary is just over $300,000, but it does extend his service out for at least 3 more years.
Awesome. Well, we see some stability at the helm at MISD. All right. And last, well, I guess not last, but last headline to talk about, McKinney is to enact a registration program for short-term rentals. Tell us about the short-term rentals.
Yes. So McKinney short-term rentals, you're thinking your Airbnbs, your Verbos, that kind of thing. McKinney has plenty. There's many, as are the cities around here. And there's a number of neighboring cities that have registration programs in use. And the purpose of that is to keep track of just simply how many there are. The city does collect hot tax off of them, but it kind of comes in as like, a full dollar amount from an Airbnb or from Vrbo.
Okay.
And it doesn't break down necessarily how many there are or what exactly they're coming from. So this program would require short-term rental owners, so the people that are listing those properties for rent for use by a visitor, that kind of thing, to register with the city. Currently, they are not asking for a registration fee. They're just asking that they get registered with the city, create kind of a resource of saying, this is how many short-term rentals are in McKinney. Neighboring cities for this same program do have a fee, and a fee could be added at a later date, city officials said. So this is kind of the next step in short-term rentals for McKinney, and we could see additional action once they get this data and information in.
Now for the exciting part, some of the business updates. So take us around town and tell us who's opening and what new places we can go try.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff that's popped up recently. So one of the first ones I wanted to mention was Freshly Cut Stems debuted a floral vending machine in East McKinney. So you can stop by and pick up a fresh flower bouquet out of a vending machine.
So if you're in the doghouse
It's available.
or forgot an anniversary or a birthday.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's a really cool concept, very beautiful.
Yeah.
It's accessible. You can walk right up. It's very interesting. Some other really cool ones in downtown. McKinney Hat Company reached a milestone of 5 years. Interesting business, very cool, downtown staple. And then another downtown staple was Habitat Plants and Coffee debuted an expansion. So they rented out the space next door to them, knocked down a wall, added about 3,500 square feet, and are now just a bit of an expanded presence. You can go in and see that they've got some additional seating. Great business that's expanded further.
Coffee and plants. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. A couple just openings. So Mustang Momo and Grill opened in West McKinney. That was late January. Then in downtown again, Shorty's. Really cool concept, hot dogs, smash burgers, cocktails. That is now open as of mid-March. Some other ones were Arome in Adriatica, which is some fusion food, taking over space at the hard corner there. Bojangles finally opened. I say with the, but Bojangles is now open. They have some fried chicken food that's off of 75 by that newer Sprouts.
Yep.
And then the Silos at Tubbs Brewery is a really cool concept. They are 6 businesses inside repurposed grain bins on the Tubbs Brewery property, and they operate small businesses out of there. There's a 7th on the north end of the property, Lolo's Coffee Company, that's establishing a presence there as well. But those 6 businesses, I won't name them all because I'll surely forget one, but offer some really interesting handmade products. Things that come to mind are jewelry, beef tallow-based pantry staples, plants, lots of interesting businesses there.
Yeah. So fun to see something repurposed into something new. So
very much so.
Lots of good stuff. All right. Well, thank you, Shelby. As always, we appreciate you coming and sharing the latest that's happening in McKinney.
Absolutely.
And as always, the links to the stories are down below. And thank you for watching, and we'll see you next month.